I want you to sweat the small stuff. I want you to start worrying about details. I want you to consider micro interactions. All day long, we're interacting. We're interacting with each other. We're interacting with technology. We're interacting with machines. And those small moments in time actually affect the rest of our day, how we perceive brands and products and experiences. What happens if you don't pay attention to details? Now, this is not something that will most likely ruin your day, but if you're walking by, are you like me? Are you an eye roller? And you think this means that somebody didn't pay attention, somebody didn't take the time to care enough about the details of spelling literacy correctly. But there are other things that can ruin your day. When I moved back to Chicago in the late 90s, I went to get some money from an ATM. And I put my card in. As it was working on my transaction, this is what it said to me. I have no doubt that this was written with the right tone. I have no doubt that somebody wanted this to be perceived as, I'm working on it. But there I was in the middle of the city, and I thought, how Chicago is this? I'm working on it. This one is from England. I have no doubt it was written with a British accent. I'm sure it sounds great with a British accent. We are dealing with your request, please wait. I can't do a British accent, but you can imagine. But instead, it's in all caps. So what does that mean? It's screaming at us, it's yelling at us. We are dealing with your request, please wait. These are those micro interactions that we have with technology, with machines, that feel like maybe they don't matter when you create them, when the humans on the other side are writing these. They don't typically show up in reports. So it's hard to track what actually happens, but we're human, which means we're emotional creatures. Have you ever had one of those days that starts out pretty poorly and it just keeps getting worse? By the end of the day, when you come home and you start talking to your spouse or your friend or whoever is the lucky recipient of that conversation, it is essentially an inventory of micro interactions because it has set you off and now you view all of these with the wrong tone. Sometimes machines like to blame us. It's not me, the program or the machine or the technology. It's you, clearly. Let's say you went to make some copies for an important meeting, and you get this error message. I'm not sure what a fuser is, but I know what F-user is. If we don't think about these micro interactions and these moments in technology as emotional connections, these are the types of things that can happen. We like to follow directions. Has anyone had this experience, especially at parking lot machines, I've noticed? It says it doesn't read your card, so you try another card and it says it doesn't read your card again. Try another card. Then somebody behind you says, I'll try mine, and it's saying the same thing. Again, it's not the machine's fault. Clearly, something is wrong with you and your card. You should really learn how to use that thing. This is one of my favorites because there is a sweet spot in there. The dimensions after resizing are too small or too large. It's up to you to figure it out. Clearly, you are not smart enough to use this program. We also love to hide things in technology. We acknowledge that there's a problem, but we don't necessarily help the user figure it out. This doesn't just happen in technology. This is not an entrance. It's a red sign, all caps, and there was a whole bank of these doors. I felt like it was the Hunger Games trying to find the entrance. And here we are, customers trying to interact with these brands, and this is what they're doing to us. This was a form I filled out very recently. I actually filled it out thinking that I wanted more information from this company. I said, please send me your marketing materials, inundate my inbox. And I couldn't get it done. So they told me there was an error, please try again. Your guess is as good as mine. I basically brought it so you guys could help me figure it out because I could not figure it out. So in this small micro interaction, what happened was I walked away kind of frustrated because I didn't get what I wanted out of the situation. My day was chipped away at a little bit. I had a bad feeling about this brand, and guess what? They were so close to getting me. I could have maybe received their marketing materials, become a customer, or better yet, become an advocate for them. But they lost that opportunity because of this poor error message. When they look at their reporting, they probably see that something didn't happen here, but we love to make up our own history when it comes to reports. So it probably says something like, users aren't converting in this moment, and we're not really sure why. It looks like we're presenting an error message. But if you're not looking at these things in that emotional way and with that connection, it's easy to lose what actually happens. Basically, this is what they're saying to me. Good luck. 404. Why do we know what a 404 is? We don't grow up learning the ABCs and the 404s. And yet we know now that this is shorthand for page not found or page not what you're looking for. Typically, we're following a link to get here from the actual site. And then they serve this up to us. Page not found 404. We're not thinking about the fact that these are humans on the other end. They're in a moment where they're trying to get something done, and we're not helping them along. Sometimes this is really about we just didn't think. We just didn't think about what it was. We got the sign up, but we haven't quite gotten around to the switch. So let's hope that we don't have an emergency until we get that switch up. This is one of my favorite error messages of all time. You can read it as many times as you'd like. It will make no sense. And this used to happen because we used to let the programmers write all the error messages. This one, if it's written by a human, I'd be impressed, actually. But my favorite part is that it talks about a blob. So what are we supposed to do with this information? Is it suddenly a horror movie where we're supposed to run? It doesn't make any sense. So what if we decided to have a little fun? What if we said, this is a 404, but it looks a lot different. It feels a lot different. And I don't know why Bigfoot crying makes me feel better, but it does. I can get on with my day. I'm not going to hate this brand who did this to me. Things are going to happen. We're going to have mistakes. So why not embrace the fact that we're all in this together, there are humans on both sides, and you don't have to ruin somebody's day. These are the beasts that live in the server room. And when the site is actually down, this is one of the things that this site puts out there. And they say, sorry, we forgot to feed them, so they're gnawing on the servers, and we'll try to address this as soon as possible. The site is actually down. It could be a huge thing. It could be something that somebody's very frustrated by, but seeing this makes them feel a little bit better and lets them have a little fun with a bad situation. Context is also important. We are talking into our smartphones for all sorts of things now. We're asking about the weather, or asking it to play us a song, or get us to TEDx. And when we do that, it's nice that it recognizes that that's what we're doing. Didn't catch that. Try speaking again. It's recognizing the moment. It's recognizing that micro interaction in a meaningful way. And hopefully you've seen this. This is a pretty classic example. When you try to unsubscribe to Groupon daily emails, they have taken what is typically a negative micro interaction and created something genius. Because you get to punish Derek because he's the one who thought you wanted the emails. So Derek's explaining, I thought they wanted. And then, boom. Now, what I love about this is that if you think about unsubscribing, it's typically It's typically a negative experience. It starts off because we're either getting too much or not what we wanted when we subscribed. So we decide to unsubscribe, and typically what happens is they send us through a series of even worse microinteractions. It becomes like a bad breakup. Why? You have to tell us why you want to leave, when all you want to do is leave. So have you ever just typed in, I just want to leave? I've done that. I just don't want this anymore. Stop asking me questions. And then sometimes they make you confirm by email. So you now have 3 or 4 microinteractions that have compounded a negative situation with a brand. This is brilliant because it actually could change your behavior. This has been out since at least 2010, and I bet that's because it works. I bet they recapture a lot of people who are trying to unsubscribe because they took a typically negative microinteraction and they turned it into something positive and special. It doesn't have to be that complicated, though. This is what a lot of them used to look like, but the best part of this is the wording here. They've dispatched a highly trained team of monkeys to deal with the situation. If you see them, please provide them this information. You don't need special videos or animation. You just need to think about that moment and how can we react in a way that has a little fun, is a little more lighthearted, and won't continue to ruin somebody's day. So lastly, I wanted to tell you about a man in Maryland who has a knack for making paper cranes. And it's the only thing he makes in origami, and he'll make them kind of spontaneously from newspaper or other things that he is surrounded by. And he gives them to people just to brighten their days. And this one he gave to his barista because he said, she always does a good job for me. So I decided to recognize her with a paper crane. And what I love about this is it's a really small moment that makes a big difference. So I hope you're on this mission with me. I want fewer ruined days. So I hope you'll continue to think about the details, to sweat the small stuff, and deliver meaningful microinteractions. Thank you.